Hey guys, what is going on? Long time no see. It's been like 2.5 or 3 weeks since I casted, so cut me a break if I make a few mistakes. That is bound to happen. I will get into where I've been for the past few weeks after this game because we have player introductions to do. We have Evil Genius's EG.IdrA spawning as the Red Zerg on the right side of Daybreak. If you like this guy, you can follow him over at twitter.com/liquidret. Over on the left side, we do have Crank. Used to be on Team Slayers, but he's doing the independent thing right now. And he's a very talented player, very, very nice too, because I did tweet at him about 12 hours ago in Korean asking for replays like I do randomly to pro players. And the only other person to ever respond to me is TLO out of the countless pros that I've actually tweeted. So TLO and Crank, the two nicest guys in esports, but Crank, what sets him a little bit unique is, like I said, I tweeted at him in Korean, and he tweeted back at me in English. He won't speak Korean to me because he knows I speak English because he wants to learn English so he can interact with his foreign fans. His English is pretty good. It's not up to Violet or Polt standards, but definitely watch his stream and watch him just learn English and evolve as a human being. Really interesting, really cool player, and just nice play out of a Protoss. So definitely check out his stream and follow him on Twitter. Unfortunately, I don't know his Twitter. It's like CrankD952. Just search Crank Liquipedia. You can find out everything you need to know about him and his Twitter page on that first link. So we will be getting into the game. Looks like Crank will be going for a Nexus first, and EG.IdrA looks like he will be going for a Hatch first. So EG.IdrA watching a little bit of Life play because, well, Life loves doing Hatch first. He does it in every ZVP, but somehow he always gets away with it. So EG.IdrA going to be doing a little bit of Hatch firsting on his own. Didn't send his drone down here and over here, making sure there wasn't a probe hiding. He will be seeing the probe now leave the base with this one Overlord. So in about 30 seconds, EG.IdrA will send a drone down to watch this one probe, because if he doesn't do that, then the probe can do some type of weird SimCity and make it impossible to stop a cannon rush. I don't know what the SimCity is on Daybreak, but I'm sure Crank, he knows it because he's a very good Protoss player. For instance, if you don't know what I'm talking about, on some maps you can place a cannon like back here, another cannon here, wall your probe in, and then build a cannon and take out the one hatch. So there's just those things that you can't let happen. You have to get the drone down there to block pylon placement, so you can't let them SimCity. EG.IdrA is going to be going with a gas opener, and that just means he's going to go with Speedlings, not doing the little roach thing that most Zerg players do, because Protoss kind of learned how to stop those roach builds with those two immortal push-outs. Rhett has expressed his frustration with that because he loses almost every tournament he enters to immortal builds right now just because they are really strong against his style. If your name's not Stefano and you open roaches every game, you're going to have a bad time. We do have the Overlord for EG.IdrA positioned right here oddly. He's not watching right here, which means he can't see anything leave Crank's base or go back into it. So he doesn't know the probe hiding down here to build a forward pylon later in the game. But what he does know, Crank went for a double gas. This is a little bit interesting. And because the Overlord is placed right here, he won't see a lot of probes mining minerals, which means there's a double gas going on. See, the Chrono Boost not going to be used on the Forge Gateway he sees. And going over into this mineral line, we have Crank fully saturated on minerals with two gases. So if he didn't have this second gas, then he would have an oversaturation of workers, which would mean that, well, that's just bad play, and Crank wouldn't be doing something like that. So now EG.IdrA should know there's probably two gases. What Crank could do to prevent that, transfer more workers down there. So the opponent can't really just count one mineral line and be like, well, you got the bare minimum here, so I know exactly how many you have in your main, which means you have that second gas. So EG.IdrA getting a read on that. Oddly enough, we don't have the warp gate research started for Crank. Looks like we do have Crank going to be going in. Did scout that third base, will be going back in, but does get taken out before he goes up into the main. If he went into the main, he would be able to see the gas being stopped, so he knows no all-in is coming. He doesn't see that, so he has to get the second cannon up because, well, he wants to play it safe. An all-in could possibly come, so he wants to get that second cannon up just to be safe. He doesn't know about the gas. And we do have the... That was really odd. The warp gate research just started and stopped. I saw that thing spinning. We do have these void ray coming on out, so gas going really low, and now that warp gate is starting. So That was really nice what we just saw there. So Crank saw those lings coming, so he clicked on the Cyber Nextcore really fast. It's not hotkeyed. He clicked on that, started Warp Gate research, so EG.IdrA wouldn't really notice that it wasn't happening. And maybe he fooled him, maybe he didn't. And as soon as the lings left the vision, then he canceled it so he could get that Void Ray out as soon as possible. But what EG.IdrA did just there with those lings, he ran in here, went right about here, which means he can see the Nexus, and he sees these 3 buildings are not being chrono boosted. Also sees the Nexus isn't being chrono boosted. So now he knows you got chronos going somewhere. So he may know Stargate is up here, and Crank gonna show that Void Ray right away, which is really odd because we saw how he wanted to get that out as soon as possible, delaying this Warp Gate research by a good 45 seconds, I would say, just to get this out and then say, hey, I have a Void Ray, build an Evo chamber. So this Void Ray can no longer do damage. However, he is playing against EG.IdrA, so maybe it will. Not saying that EG.IdRA's bad, I'm saying he does these things where he's like, okay, I scouted this, so if you commit to the what I scouted, you're a bad player. And you're not a bad player, Crank, so since I saw it, I know you're not going to do it anymore, so I'm not even going to prepare against it. We do have him, though, getting an Evo chamber just because he wants to upgrade. We'll see if he gets any Spore Crawlers. Does see the 1 Phoenix and the Void Ray heading over to that 3rd base, so he will end up getting some Spore Crawlers out. Ling's just sitting right here, just keeping an eye on things, maybe seeing if a Zealot attack is going to be coming. Has the 1 Ling right here along with his Overlord, making sure the 3rd base doesn't go down. This Void Ray not doing anything. So it looks like he is going to be clearing out both of these watchtowers with the 1 Void Ray, and this Phoenix just getting scouting information. So this definitely really odd from Crank right now. So opening up with a Stargate opener, going over to a Robotics Bay, and only building the 1 Phoenix, 1 Void Ray, and not even trying to do damage, just taking map control. Going to be taking a 3rd base, but EG.IdrA does have those lings on the way, checking that out. Does see it is indeed there and will be retreating. So, just really odd. Yeah, only 1 Phoenix out. So, doesn't try to do any damage, just using this Phoenix to get scouting information, letting him know, yes, it is safe for me to go for that Robotics Bay because, well, Robotics Bay? I'm pretty sure that's Bay. Yeah, the Robotics Bay for the Colossus, because that's facility. If he didn't have the Phoenix to scout, then he could see that EG.IdrA has some type of army. Like I was saying, he got that 2nd cannon to make sure no all-in was coming. The first thing this Phoenix did was go in the main base, see that the lair was morphing, see what was happening, see you're not putting on any pressure. I can safely take this 3rd base. So Crank, he's playing a really flexible / weird style, and now he just got in and saw the Hive timing in the Infestation Pit, so he knows that EG.IdrA can no longer attack for a minute because he has to get those Infestors out. The research is starting. The Hive most likely wants to get Broodlord, so it's more likely going to be like 4 or 5 minutes before EG.IdrA wants to put on any pressure. So Crank, his reaction is to build a Fleet Beacon and to get a really fast mothership. So he's cutting every possible corner there is to cut right now. His army, 5 Zealots, a Void Ray, a Colossus, and 4 Sentries. In 14 minutes, he's going to have 3 bases, 2 or 3 Colossus, and a mothership. Yep, a mothership at 14 minutes is what Crank is having. Just cutting every corner, and also has upgrades going on this side. And one more corner, wanna go 4 bases because Crank, he hadn't cranked it up yet enough on the crazy scale. EG.IdrA gonna be seeing this. Will he attack Crank? Because if he does just randomly build a lot of units and go and attack, he may just be able to kill Crank right now. But Crank did have really good scouting on EG.IdRA's, kept an eye, saw, yeah, you got your Hive time, you got your Infestation Pit, going for this 4th base, seeing Infestors now just being out. He knows he is relatively safe. EG.IdRA isn't the type of player to just randomly stop, just make a sudden move and attack, because whenever he does that, he never comes out ahead. So he always plays kind of like, intelligently, or unless he's tilting, then he just plays flat out bad. But right now, he's playing intelligently. He's got a plan. It is playing very passive, getting what he's comfortable out with, Infestors and Broodlords, and then going to go out and attack. And it's a little bit, how he got to this stage is unique, how he opened up with the Speedlings and did all that stuff. Kind of going with the Demaga style without getting Baneling drops. But he's playing like a Zerg used to play. A Zerg nowadays would see this, all these corners being cut and just go out and attack. But EG.IdrA, he never really played that way where he just wanted to get to the late game, got really good at late game. So we see him now just starting to adapt to that, getting to the late game style, getting comfortable with that. And then maybe in another 3 months, he will start seeing these timings and abusing these timings of him saying, oh, I can just go kill you now. Okay, because that's what Stefano has. He's always tried to go for that late game. IdrA never really has. He's gone for the mid games, not late. Back in about a year ago when the mid game was the late game, it was true that IdrA had a really good late game, but he just has a really good mid game, in my opinion. We do have a lot of Zealots now coming out, just sacrificing these Zealots, and he doesn't have these Zealots to sacrifice. That is 6 more Zealots going out. But what he's doing here is he's saying, hey, I'm sacrificing units. I have an army. Do not attack me. And he's keeping the units in this one area. At the same time, Crank is going to be going up so he can take his 5th base. If he just randomly decided, hey, you know what? Let's move my army here. Then IdrA would go and attack, because IdrA may think this is like a half of Crank's army that just went up and say, okay, well, I can just go in and kill half your army that is sitting right here. Of course, Crank doesn't have that because he's cutting every corner there is to cut. But by putting those Zealots down here, putting the pressure down here, IdrA no longer can attack this one position. We do have Crank now going to be taking out those rocks again, going to be taking this 6 base way up here, just getting a few cannons for defense, and IdrA going to allow him to do this. He doesn't want Crank ever to gain control of this position again, sending those Zealots out, just keeping IdrA's units away, because Crank, he just got that mothership out. It doesn't have the energy to do, oh no, it does have the energy just now to do a Vortex, getting Archons in. So now IdrA's going to have a hard time attacking, because Crank is getting that scary army, and he's going to be maxed out very, very soon. These Zealots are going to be sacrificed to those roaches at the same time. A Warp Prism is going in to the main base, but IdrA is ready. He's got the Spore Callers, he's got Spine Callers. The Warp Prism is going to turn around. Corruptors are on the way to intercept this Warp Prism, but not going to be able to get it. Those Zealots did no damage, but Crank, I mean, he's got his full tech path unlocked. A lot of upgrades, 3-3 just about done. There's no way in this game that Crank isn't doing, like, he isn't ahead. He's ahead in every possible way there is. Tech, upgrades, and economy, I would say. IdrA does have 91 drones. Crank has 92 probes. Equal number of bases. We do have these Zealots going down. I guess the only thing Crank has done is lost more than IdrA. Going to these resources lost. IdrA has lost less than Crank. So it's all going to come down to how good IdrA's control is come the late game with his Broodlords and his Infestors. We do have Corruptors now. Don't know what they were thinking. They do get picked off. Maybe I was hoping to pick off a Colossus, maybe a Void Ray, or something. We do have Neuroparasite on the way so he can take over that mothership and try to waste the Vortex. That Broodlord count is getting relatively high. It is up to 11 right now. And he does have 8 Infestors, 8 Corruptors, 7 Roaches. Probably could sacrifice those Roaches and get a few more Infestors out. We do have Crank now maxed out. Probably going to be starting to put on pressure right now. Observer comes. Notice he's killed all the creep over here and here. So it's very hard for IdrA to actually position himself. Fungals go down, and 1 Archon, a few sentries will die. Used a lot of force fields because his sentries did get caught. Does he have any of those left? No, he doesn't. So his sentries got caught, so he no longer has the ability to force field. This one Warp Prism trying to be annoying as possible. But look at all the Spine Callers IdrA has around the map saying, no, no, Crank, you're not going to be able to do that. The Warp Prism getting away, leaving those Zealots because he does not want to be caught by the Corruptors. But as I was saying just before that battle began, Crank came down here, killed off all these tumors. He did this, I think, when he was doing the drop up here, trying to force IdrA's attention here. He can put his army here a little bit safely. Then he went over here, killed this creep. So now IdrA doesn't know where to position his army, because if Crank's right here, he can attack this base. If Crank's up here, he attacks here. If he's right here, he attacks through this way. All 3 of those have different positionings for your Broodlords. So IdrA's now got to constantly keep repositioning his army because he doesn't know exactly where Crank is. So when he does that, he can't keep his Broodlords split up, which means he is going to be vulnerable to a Vortex. Roaches now just going to get sacrificed. They do absolutely nothing in the battle. Crank going to be getting 4 more Stargates and actually does have 1-3 on the way in Psy Storm. So we will be seeing maybe air tech come out of him, maybe mass void rays, maybe carriers. I don't know which one. Hopefully it's carriers because we just don't get to see them. And, well, Herd of the Swarm is around the corner. We do have a lot of Stalkers and, well, just the Death Ball of Protoss that you're used to seeing. Right here, IdrA does have a larger bank than Crank right now and a lot of Spine Claws to fall back on while he remaxes. And that is definitely a lot of Broodlords. He is up to 17 Broods, 12 Corruptors. And Crank going to be saying, no, IdrA, you cannot take that one base. IdrA just going to be canceling that. Very nicely done. And few pylons are going to be placed down here. If Crank establishes this base, this will be really bad for IdrA. But it looks like we will have an engagement coming in really soon. IdrA splitting up those Broodlords so they do not get caught by a Vortex. That one Stalker does meet a quick and swift death. But 3-3 just about done. Crank may not want to engage until that. We do have Graviton Catapult, so it will be a carrier transition from Crank. And one Broodlord or two going to be taking out that one pylon. This base does come up. That's going to give Crank really good positioning, but not if he loses everything in the process. This is a very dangerous spot for Crank. It looks like he may just be waiting for upgrades right now. I'm not sure why he isn't engaging. Just waiting on to get something down. IdrA's going to have 3-3 just about done. The Mothership is maxed energy, waiting for IdrA to make a mistake. He is so patient right now as the Nexus just takes damage. Maybe he's just buying time because he knows the longer he waits, the more time he has to get this base secured as cannons are being built. So now the cannons are going to be finishing, and now it blinks in. Oh, wait! Neuropiercing goes down, but the Vortex doesn't get to happen. Oh my god, that was so close. If Vortexes did pop, then Crank would be losing this game right now. IdrA has a relatively good split. A Vortex does go off. Fallen Girls are going down on a lot of these Stalkers. Those Infestors are still being kept alive. Blink does go down. That Vortex only has a few Broodlords. IdrA with a beautiful split right now of a lot of those Broods. A lot more Stalkers morphing in. That Toilet didn't really do all that much. Corruptors did come out. That's what was in it. Mothership goes down. Now the Colossus are falling. The Broods have fallen. But you know what? IdrA has a huge bank, but so does Crank. Both players are going to be able to re-max Crank right now. Cranking out 7 carriers. IdrA going with 18 Corruptors. It is going to come down to, does IdrA know these carriers are coming out? And how many Broodlords does he build? He still has 4 Broods up here, but that is a lot of Stalkers at 3-2-3 upgrades. There's Broodlords not switching over to the Stalkers. Stalkers are going to be able to take him out. This Nexus has fallen, but Crank has taken another base and secured this. Handful of Zealots have been whooped in throughout the course of the battle. Going to go into attack into the Great Wall of Spines. IdrA, at the meantime, going to be taking this one base. There is a pylon over here to whoop in units. Can do that. Lots of Spines, but those Zealots are upgraded, so they will be able to take out the Spine Claws. IdrA trying to get a few more, even Infestors coming in. Keep in mind, he doesn't really have Lings or Roaches, so he's got to use Infested Tanners and Fallen Growth. One Infestor does go down. These Stalkers have picked off that one base. Crank is ahead on bases right now, but IdrA is going to have that scary, scary army. It's all going to come down to, can he deal with carriers? Will Crank have enough time? And wait, IdrA, he knows! He sees Stargates. He has to know carriers are coming. So he's not going to be morphing in a lot of Broodlords. He's going to be very careful with the amount of anti-air he leaves out on the field. The Stalker's doing a great job blinking around, going in between the supply lines, killing off Infestors. IdrA not really happy. He's like, ugh, I've only got units that can't really do much if they're not in mass. As you know, one Infestor doesn't really do that much, so these Stalkers, the Super Assassination Squad, dealt so much damage, took out the Greater Spire, took out Infestors. Oh my god, IdrA doesn't really have the gas bank anymore, and these Stalkers have been so good for Crank. That one Nexus will get taken out. Crank has to kill this force. IdrA having a lot of Corruptors so he can deal with these carriers, knows it is coming. 7 carriers versus the 27 Corruptors, but they are going to keep on getting built. Keep in mind, a Mothership is back out on the field, or it will be momentarily. Will the Corruptors be enough? Will he be able to neuroparasite the Mothership, use the cloaking for his Corruptors, and demolish the carriers? It's all going to come down to that, but we have this kind of funny base trade happening with the smallest number of Stalkers you can ever imagine, because IdrA gets Infestor out. That's a cute wall, by the way. But Gets one Infestor out. Bongo Gross doesn't have any other to chain that, so the Stalkers live. Has Broodlords, so the Stalkers can blink away from the Broodlords. Broodlords cannot kill those Stalkers. They can't catch them. So, really out of bounds. But here we go. Carriers are out, turning down those Infestors. The Mothership does not get neuroparasited. And is it going to be enough? It can't really call this battle one way or the other. Corruption being used to take out the carriers. EG.IdrA looks like he's going ahead, but those carriers are being microed back, and they are starting to fall. More carriers are coming out, but it looks like EG.IdrA, he may have done it. Carriers are falling. Lots of Stalkers are being morphed in, but he doesn't have Corruptors left. He needs to get back. Only has a handful. Oh no, he's got a lot of Infestors right now. But that is a lot of carriers still alive. I think I was wrong. Crank with the reinforcements may have just enough. Infestitans are out, but they're attacking Interceptors. That is not what they want to do. Neuroparasites on those carriers to try to take control of this battle, but Crank, does he have enough? A lot of lings over here, but that is cannons. Infestitans are coming out. Carriers being microed away from those Infestitans. This is like the Stalkers and the Broodlords all over again. EG.IdrA just wasted a lot of energy on units that aren't going to do anything. He needs to be getting away right now. He cannot leave his units here because he can no longer engage the carriers. But he can no longer build anything. So, very odd situation. But in this thing, maybe these Infestitans would have been best off killing off these pylons. But EG.IdrA cannot leave the Infestors here, but he can just leave the game. So, I don't really blame him. He didn't really have the money to get up to actually deal with this army. Zealots are down here, I guess, killing off that one base. And yeah, that is new if you noticed. One of the things I did while I was off. But thinking about this, what could have EG.IdrA have done? When I was saying he can't stay here, he's got to assume that Crank just doesn't have money because he knows he can no longer engage this army. He has dealt a lot of economic damage. We can go over to this base. That's gone. He knows this base is gone because he's got a base there, of course. Oh, man, that cam, that's screwed up. It should look better than that. Hold on one second. Why are you screwed up, cam? There we go. There we go. That's fixed. Now it actually has good production quality, but okay. If you don't know, hi, bottom right, cam. But okay. So going back to this. Yeah, he's losing this base. But if he pulled all these units away and just said, okay, I'm going to assume you're out of a bank because that's a frickin' load of carriers. Yeah, he doesn't have money to rebuild anti-air, but what does he have? He has time. Carriers are slow. He has time to get energy on his Infestors so he can engage this again. He's used it all. Use those Infestitans. Kill off the pylons to just hope to God he can't build more carriers. Go back home and delay. Delay, delay, delay. Put those Infestors by spine collars will be effective against gateway units. You're still mining gas. Not mining that many minerals. He's got not many minerals, so... But delay, delay, delay. You have energy units. Your Protoss player, he's actually got the opposite of energy units. His units actually have an upkeep cost because when the Interceptors die, he has to rebuild them. It's a small thing, but it's kind of in a war of nourishment. Infestors, if they can, they will win. Like, there's no observer by the carriers. Go over to this units tab. We see no observers out. So, Infestors burrow, go underneath them, shoot off infested Terrans, kill off Interceptors or carriers. Eventually, Infestors will win. So, that's my thoughts on that. So, it's been 2.5 to 3 weeks. So, where have I been? Well, as you may know, because I put on my Facebook and my comments, my AC died for a week. And my room was like 100 degrees, which means my computer would overheat, so I couldn't cast. A week passed. Of course, it's been like another week and a half or 2 weeks since then, so I can't use that excuse the whole time. Simply put, when I get out of a rhythm, it's hard for me getting back into a rhythm if it's not like a social event. So it was just hard for me to get the motivation to say, I'm going to sit down and cast a game. Like, once I start casting, I love it. But to get that motivation, it's hard. And I tried that several times. The first time, there was a patch. It wasn't this arcade patch. It was the patch before that that had some Korean thing, I think. Stupid patch. But my StarCraft client couldn't patch. I had to reinstall StarCraft. So, first day I wanted to cast, reinstall StarCraft, lost motivation after that. The second time I wanted to, we had Drop SC that switched over to no searching for now because they need money. Don't blame them. If you wanted to ever donate to me, I'll be flat out honest, I don't need money right now. If you want to donate to me, donate to them. They deserve it. If you get them back online, then I easily get replays. I don't have to go depending on players to give me replays. So that was attempt number 2 to cast. Attempt number 3, the arcade patch came out, and my computer kept crashing. It sucked. There was a lot of performance issues because may have not been the arcade, may have been when I reinstalled, but my variables.txt file got edited. I've done a lot of tweaks to that and made it so I could handle the 1080p thing and everything else. My computer just kept shutting down. So it would have been another week until I uploaded this. However, since Crank personally sent me the games, I felt obligated to cast at least one today. So that is why I am casting. Because if Crank didn't personally send them to me, I will tell you for a sure thing, I would have pushed it off for another day. Because it was just frustrating to have my computer crash 2 or 3 times trying to cast games. And it wasn't an EG.IdrA game first. Because I know a lot of you people don't like the EG.IdrA games because he just leaves. But because I attempted to cast, other games got halfway through and then stopped, I didn't want to just go back and cast that game immediately because it wouldn't be like a true cast. You would be able to tell I pre-watched at least the intro. So waiting a day or two so I forget it. That's why it's an EG.IdrA game. But yeah, that's where I've been. Now let's get into the SC2 gears. And also, watch Crank stream. Again, thank him. And also, I'll put his Twitter down below. Tweet at him. Thank him for giving his replays out. Because if you do that, he may just start randomly sending me games to cast, or he may do replay packs on a regular basis. So, please, excuse me, please do that. And if you like the webcam, let me know. It was just something I thought up. Out of one of the 3 times I tried casting, I was like, before I do, I'm going to have a cool effect. I'm going to have the webcam. I'm going to do a little graphic because I had to make a small graphic. As we do see, I have this that I kind of hacked out of the game just so I could put the overlay on. It has the black thing so you can't see the friend thing pinging, and has the border so I can put my webcam so it looks fit in. And of course, I do have a backdrop if I kind of push this. And maybe not. It's really high, so it's hard to see that I actually have a wall behind me. So anyways, we'll get to SC2 gears now. By webcam. If you can think of a good spot to put it, maybe I'll put it right here in the future. If you guys really like that. I don't know if you do. So, APM, not much to look at. To be honest, I mean, I guess redundancy, you can see EG.IdrA has a low redundancy, Crank has a high one. Ooh, numbers that don't mean much to me. But what we could do, we could make this interesting. Ooh. Looking at this, this is now filtered on the worker micro. And we can see, looking after 1614, Crank almost never really clicked on a probe. This, like, just clicking on probes. Clicking on probes, don't mind me. Over here, never really did. Zoom. Where's zoom? Here we go. Times 8. So, yeah. Really clicked. We got one thing. What happened at 1627? Because that's like the last time he clicked on a probe. He's probably getting a base up. What base number is that? So, that would be, that one small click is him establishing this base and sending the probes over there most likely. Or maybe not. Maybe it's 818. Maybe if we go back into SC2 gears. Go over to 18 minutes. Is there another thing? No. There goes my theory. Maybe it's off. I don't know. But I guess if you enjoy things like that, yeah, enjoy that. So we'll go over to something more meaningful. And now, the latest version of SC2 gears, we have Chrono Boost. So IdrA's injects, 10 minutes, 7 seconds, pretty darn good. We can go over into this. No, the other one, tech stat. And we can see he doesn't have any creep tumors. They should show up on this. No, they don't. Oh, wait. Ability groups. Go back to 10 minutes. So yeah, he's already been spreading creep. So he's got, at 10 minutes, he's got 14 tumors out on the map and a 7-second average inject gap. Pretty darn nice. And I think it's spawn creep is how you find the first one. So we'll filter for that. That's at 11 minutes now, by the way. So he's laid 5 separate tumors. And then I think build is the next. And of those 5, they have spread to 9. So he's got 14 tumors out on the map at 10 minutes. Let's just double check that. Boom, 14. So 5 ones that can reproduce, and he's got a not total of the other ones that can't reproduce 9. Don't know how to make that make sense, but you should understand. So we will go on to back to this main building control. Now, what I find really cool, let's ignore EG.IdrA for a second. He rage quit. He doesn't deserve this. Look at I'm not sure, like, Protoss players get a lot of flack for not being good on chrono boosting. But look at this. This blue thing is a chrono boost. So you can see these forges. They rarely were idle. He hit it the second it got off. So let's just zoom in. Let's go back into that zoom thing. Times 8. So, Nexus. Oh, where's Forge? Okay. Forge right there. Oh, sweet. Stays. So right here, didn't miss a beat. Over here, that's 11:51. That is a 7-second gap. This small thing, or this big thing, 7 seconds. So this, probably 5.5 or 5 to 6, depending how I click on this. 19, 26, depending how I click. So, really small gaps as he chrono boosts that forge. As we say, go back to this times 1. Really can't see that many. So, pretty darn good job on chrono boosting. Like I said, I haven't got to study a lot of Protoss players, but to me, it's better than I expected it to be. Which says a lot, because I expected it to be, well, maybe it doesn't say a lot, because I expected it to be really bad. Let's see. Unit tiers. Let's actually go to workers. So let's go to this builds tech. We'll filter back on workers. And we can see the last probe being built 1649. Coincidentally, you know what that lined up with? Let's go back over to this tab. Oh, yeah, that's right. Whenever he built his last set of probes, that was enough to show a blip on the APM tab. That's what that last spike was, is him building probes. So, both players kind of stopped workers at the same time, which is odd. You think Zerg would stop like before Protoss, but that just shows how many corners Crank had cut. Being able to get up to, let's see how many workers. So, 132, 307. But keep in mind, EG.IdRA's got to build spine crawlers going over into this, such over buildings. Clear filters. Let's see, he's built 1, 15, 16, 2 hives? Doesn't make sense. 18, 27, 29, 31, 32, 33, 43, and then 48. So he's built at least 48 buildings out of those drones. And that's not the ones he's lost, so you can see why Crank has built less workers, because that's a lot of buildings they just had to put up. And that's all just sloppy math. Sloppy math. So just keep that in mind when counting workers. But now, let's actually see what filters we have. Let's filter out actions. Let's just copy and paste this. Boom. Boom. No more workers. I know I probably could have clicked up here. They've already done that, because that's useless. So, what do we not want to care about? Well, we don't really care about zealots, do we? Or buildings. We only care about trains right now. So, the frack? He canceled and built that void ray a lot. Or the replay glitched. What are you doing, Crank? Yeah. You didn't do the good old 7 Stargate rush at 6 minutes. This isn't the beta. But I'm really curious. Hold on, guys. 620. Let's go to 620 in the game. That... Was he like trying to decide void or chrono boost? What do I do? So, damn it. I was moving XSplit so I could make sure I switched the frame and I missed it. Come on. Stop building! Stop! There we go. No. Why do you do that, SC2 Gears? Maybe he just hit V a lot really fast. Or it could be a bug with the new patch. Who knows? But we can see that Void Ray isn't getting cancelled, so... Huh. Don't know what to say. I know if I really wanted to, we could go here, search for this time, and then look at all the things he's doing. See if it has just a bunch of trains, or if it has train cancel type deal, but I don't want to do that while I'm wasting your time, because I've already wasted enough of your time already. Haven't I? Yeah, I think I have, so I don't know what else is... I don't know what else there is to talk about, so... That's going to be it for me. Take care, guys. I hope you enjoyed the cast. And, yeah. Don't forget to tweet Crank. If you were going to tweet me, thank me for coming back to cast, tweet Crank, because he's the reason you got a cast today. So, peace out, guys. And I just took the hand off my mouse, so I can't easily end this cast. Yeah.